Hey everyone, I'm back with a new video and I'm very excited. It's about my own deck, the Alkebulan Tarot. Yesterday I got finally, well, the first test print of my book. I wanted that to see if yeah, nothing would be in the spine and if the design was okay in the pages. So I already know now, for example, I don't know if you can see it, the text is very small, so I'm gonna need to adjust that a little bit. I of course still need to go through it some more to see if I maybe made some mistakes in well, words and stuff like that, you know. But yeah, it made it a little bit more real, right? I had the deck already for some time. I did some adjustments, and because, well, I read a little bit different, I added two extra cards in for, well, RWS readers in that sense. But yeah, to see what I did on Word, you know, actually be in a book form, that was, yeah, very excited, of course. So I want to do the walkthrough of the deck. That's because I did post here and there, of course, pictures, right, of one or two cards or a little bit more. But I thought for you have an idea what you're getting. Again, you know, this is what it is now. I still might make some changes. You never know. But I don't think that will be huge changes, you know. So in that sense, yeah, I think this is the big outline of what it's gonna be like. Yeah, I want to do the walkthrough. I will go a little bit into why I chose what and all that, you know. So yeah, very happy with the guidebook, but we're gonna put it a little bit aside because, well, I did the zoom in so you can see everything good. So let's flip it over. I did make the title card. I first had a different color, and in one of my printings I had this black border, but they didn't really cut that evenly. So to, well, not be stressed about that, I just took the border out, and I kind of like it. So that's just the title card. Let's put that aside. Okay, so with the first card, the Fool, again, I think I stayed pretty traditional in the in the way it's depicted, right? We did put, of course, the modern man in that sense on top of the hill, and in the Fool, again, initially this deck was made for me, right? So yeah, it's not about falling off the cliff in that sense, or not paying attention, but it's about that starting a new journey, right? Whether that's spiritual or even something that you ask specifically about, and the Fool will show up. There is always a risk at any point. I think, yeah, the moment we step out of our childhood, yeah, we need to make different kind of choices. And the moment we do that, the moment we get in that space, yeah, of, well, adulthood in that sense, everything becomes a risk. We don't like to step in the unknown as we did as we were children, right? I mean, in that time, everything was an adventure and everything was fine, no matter the outcome, right? So instead of really stepping off in that sense, I just placed him there. It's like something I wrote about in a guidebook too, you know, about him looking over, you know, into the distance, the view, in the sense of, well, his thoughts, right? His thoughts are his own. When you talk about the Fool's journey, you know, what's ahead of him. And I, of course, placed the African wild dog there. Again, I will go in it in the guidebook. The African wild dog really symbolizes cooperation, individuality, insight, strength, all of that, you know. So yes, well, if it was not clear yet, I'm sorry. This is really an Alkebulan Tarot. Alkebulan is the old name of Africa, the original name of Africa. Again, I will go in the guidebook a little bit about the history behind that. But Africa was not the original name of our beautiful continent, of our motherland. The original name was Alkebulan. So yeah, this is what you will find back. So yeah, I did place the beautiful white rose. I mean, we see that in the way the fool holds it in the RWS depiction, right? So yeah, pretty traditional, I think. Okay, in the Magician, you see the elements coming back. We have here the Cowrie shell, which will be the pentacle suit. We have here, I hope you see it, the staff, which will be staffs, you know, in the wand suit. On top of the drum, this is the drum, on top of there we have the axe, yeah, which will be the sword, and the drum will be the cup suit. I mean, I could have used, of course, a beautiful old African vase kind of thing, but for me, music, yeah, brings out emotions. Sometimes, even when we hide them, when you hear a certain song or something, you know, these emotions can come up, sometimes even quite unexpectedly. So the drum is a big thing in Africa, yeah. I think even we nowadays, especially if you're a practitioner of any kind of, well, I don't like to call it magic, but hey, let's call it magic, right? In the sense of the trance state, you know, the rhythm, yeah, it really can bring you in that grounding sense. So I chose the drums, you know, for yeah, the emotional cup suit in that sense. I got my different roses, red and white lilies, and the beautiful sun of Africa, you know, in the African landscape. Yeah, for me, she really empowered that grounded magician feeling, right? We have all the tools we need, yeah? We have the skill. It's about the manifestation of what we want, and so forth, yeah? Okay. The High Priestess, I placed her between pillars in Egypt. Even though I get it and I understand it, and even I like it in the black and white kind of sense, for me, that is all about life, yeah? I think we need to find that balance, yeah? There is no good without evil, and there's no evil without good, and so forth, you know? So I wasn't too focused on the black and white pillars, yeah? For me, the pillars represent the pathway through, right? So I even liked that we have multiple pillars going on, because that's a journey, you know? When we step behind the veil, so to speak, you know, when we learn divine law, and this should be the Torah originally. For me, it was just an old manuscript, you know. The specifics or the details, they could be important. In this case, it was, for me, more about, yeah, that ancient knowledge, right? That's unconsciousness, that awareness of it. And again, that for me is the journey. That is the step we need to make in the journey. So yes, we have all the tools we need. Now we actually need to, well, work at it, right? I love her, the way she looks very mysterious, yeah. I hope my view is good with the lighting. I did the pomegranates, you know, to really bring that in, the crescent moon and stuff. That gives it that symbolism that we know what we're talking about, even though it says bigly High Priestess. But yeah, I think it completed the picture in that sense, you know. I mean, for me, the candle she's holding, it's about, well, that's her light, right? She's guarding that candle. When you blow that out and you stand in the darkness, this is when your journey takes place, right? So, continuing. The Empress, I think, again, pretty traditional in that sense. I placed the 12 stars there, whether that's the 12 zodiac or the 12 planets. I know we can have a conversation about that, because some say it's only 7. Again, I think we got 12, but again. Instead of her shield, you know, I kind of used the Ankh, you know, that representation of eternal life. Because especially in African spirituality, yeah, we talk about our ancestors a lot, right? I mean, this is our link to the past. Like, we are their link, yeah, to the future. We are a new representation of them, and our children will become a new representation of us. This is all the same bloodline, yeah? You cannot separate them because this is one, this is a unity. So this is why I depicted her pregnant too. It's not about that pregnancy, it's about the next in line. We will become ancestors too one day, and hopefully we can still guide our next generation in that sense. I placed a cannabis plant there for, well, life, you know. Also a little bit about knowing your own emotions, yeah. Bob Marley once said, when you smoke the herb, yeah, it reveals you to yourself, and I could not agree more. It's about really opening up to who you are. And again, in this day and age, yeah, I think we as women, yeah, we have been forced into a role by society that is making us more harsh, yeah. This is where we get a lot of oh, the angry black woman, right? No, she's, well, maybe she is angry, but she got a right to be angry, you know. But we need to toughen up, right? And at the one hand, there's nothing wrong with that. And on the other hand, yeah, we are losing our roles in the African unity of family, right? So for me, like I said, the cannabis plant was really about, you know, understanding our own emotions, yeah? When we see the Empress, it's about nurturing, creation, all of that. But for me too, yeah, that's like the emotional part of the woman. Because it's not per se a woman. When we go to the Empress, to the Emperor, I'm sorry. I mean, yes, this could be a woman and a man, right? But even for the man, yeah, knowing his own emotions, right? There's nothing wrong with being a man and being in touch with your emotions. So yeah, in that sense, that was the Empress card, and yeah, we're gonna go, yeah, to the Emperor. I didn't make them match in the sense of, well, that they would belong together in that sense, because for me, every woman, yeah, is an empress in herself, and every man is an emperor in himself, you know. We all have that quality, so they don't, for me, need to match, yeah. She is younger, I mean, she would be the mother archetype in that sense, right? I mean, pregnant, she's becoming from the maiden, she will go into the mother soon. While he, you can already see, is at a certain age, yeah. He probably already had all of this, you know, and he is now in a different mindset. At the same time, I think we say a lot, right, that women mature maybe a little bit quicker than men in that sense. Well, he is now in his full, is that a word? Maturity? I mean, he already has seen all of that. He has learned from that, right? He is now in a place where he actually really embodies, you know, everything that emperor is. And again, because you're a younger man doesn't mean you don't have that, but it could be something you're striving for in that sense, right? But again, that's about why they're not matched for me, because again, that's not a necessity. He is who he is on his own, and she is who she is on his own, on her own, sorry. So yes. The Hierophant, it was a little bit a difficult one for me to make. I made a different card initially, but I settled on this. I love the fact that we have all sort of religions and traditions in that sense, you know, because whatever I'm embodying as the Hierophant, at the same time, somebody else may choose something else, you know. What I wrote in my book, for me, this was like a representation of the Black Madonna and Child. And why did I choose that as the Hierophant? Is because I think in whether you call her Black Madonna and the Child, or you call her Mary and Jesus, or you call her Isis and Horus, you know, I think the mother and child have been on the foreground in that sense in multiple religions, whatever the name is, you know. I think the mother in society is the one that teaches the child, you know. in the household, in the family structure, which I will go into in the booklet, that it's an African thing. It's a very important African thing, the family, you know. Everything stems from the family. If you look at your own family, you will have traits from your mother and you will have traits from your father. But 9 out of the 10 times, I know that there are definitely exceptions to the rule in that sense, right? But even if that's so, you can see the mother as that parental figure in your life. It could be your grandma or your grandfather. But you know, the teachings you get from your family, you know, they're going to be engraved in you as a child. This is what you lean on the first period of your life. And after that, you might, well, open your eyes and start to look further. But I think for me, the Hierophant, the first keyword that would come in my mind with the Hierophant is teacher and tradition, right? So the teacher and traditions for me, again, is the family structure. So for me, I chose the Black Madonna and Child in that sense, you know. But again, because we got multiple religious or traditions coming back, you can place that however you want to place that in that sense. Okay, the Lovers. Well, I think nowadays, I don't even want to go too much into that, but the Lovers is always a little bit tricky because we now deal with gender neutrality and all that stuff, you know, and okay, that's fine. In all honesty, I didn't even think about that when I made this card, because again, this deck was made for me initially, right? It was all your beautiful people that supported me and wanted to know if they could get one. That made me think bigger and was like, well, maybe I can do that, right? For me, the choice, the crossroads, right? I did place some old symbology in there, like the apple tree of Eden, the snake, right? And then I placed the black and white doves there. Whether you want to see them as the angel, you know, and him as the choice maker, that's fine. For me, it's a little bit the choice. Sometimes you feel like it's all black and white. And at certain times, I think it is, yeah? I don't think we can always take the gray road in that sense, right? But a choice needs to be made. Where I don't mind it when the Lovers goes into, well, the more relationship kind of way, because even if we look at it from a relationship point, any commitment is a choice also. That is a choice you need to make. If you don't make it consciously, yeah, the relationship will go to the pooper, yeah. If you make it consciously, you know that it's an everyday job. You cannot just say, I do, like Hollywood does in the movies, and then, well, they lived happily ever after, you know. That is a journey in itself. So yeah, for me, the choice was really prominent in this card. But even again, I mean, I think you can get some lovers out of the doves and stuff like that in the sense of relationship, right? But yeah, this is my Lovers. This is where we're gonna go. Okay, yeah, I placed, oh no, that's the next one. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Okay, yeah. The Chariot, yeah, I think pretty self-explanatory. I did question if I should have put a horsey kind of thing there, but I kind of liked the Sphinx from Egypt, you know, I mean, the lion and human aspect in that sense. They really embody a certain strength and authority. The chariot itself, I'm sorry, is about moving forward. There is still work ahead of us, right? And even though he is not moving in this sense, just I think what I wanted to depict here, sometimes even if we stand still, we're still moving forward, you know? It's when you stand still for too long that we're gonna have a problem. But sometimes standing still, reflecting on where we need to go, yeah, is the right way. If we make a hasty choice, we need to go back and then take the right road again. But sometimes we need to pause, you know, and really think about where do we want to go from here. So I do love a moving chariot. For me, it was really about, okay, let's take a moment. Let's see where we need to go from here, you know. So yeah, that was me. Okay, I didn't number them for this reason, because let's do them together so we can, well, put them aside in that sense, you know. Strength and justice. In all honesty, for me, after the Chariot would come justice. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be good here. For me, in all honesty, after the Chariot comes justice, but I know that for others, yeah, it will be strength. So this is one of the reasons I didn't number them. In the book itself, I did place justice after the Chariot, you know. And then when we move on, we got strength before the Hangman, yeah, or the Hanged One in mine. But again, both is good, and this is why I didn't number them. You can put it however you like, yeah. Let's go from the book then in that sense, because then I can... Okay, let me place this one there, and we will get back to it. So yeah, the justice, I think, again, not that hard, right? We got the scales. The heart needs to be weighed against the feather of Ma'at, with the Egyptian background, the pyramids, yeah. The justice card, you know, it symbolizes for me the conscious and determined kind of judgment, yeah. Impartial, balance, honesty, all that, yeah. So again, I depicted the scales in that sense, you know, like, well, which way to go. In the booklet, I talked a little bit about Ma'at and her 42 laws, and I even put in an appendix, you know, with the 42 negative confessions of Ma'at, if you like that. The Hermit, which is my card of the year, so I'm looking at him closely since January. Again, an older man, right? He has the staff from the staff's suit. It symbolizes that action taken, you know, in the in this sense, the action taken to reflect on yourself, to go inward. The waning moon does this, of the waning gibbous, yeah, moon does the same, you know. It symbolizes a time to look inwards, yeah, and reevaluate your goals. I mean, the landscape, beautiful Africa. Yeah, all the landscapes are also Africa, unless I stated otherwise, but all is Africa. If there is not an African landscape, it's, I think one card has just a black background. We will see in a second. Yeah, taking that journey within, right, and taking a literal journey in solitude, yeah, is definitely going within. So I kind of like this depiction. I really enjoyed it, and of course I hope you did too. Yeah, this one here, see, we're already there. The wheel. The wheel, I put an appendix in as well, because this wheel was actually designed by Sister Yeida, if I say that correct. I put her information in the booklet, because she actually designed a wheel, and I saw it like years ago. I'm sorry. Which she called the Afrocentric Wheel of the Year, yeah. She talked about the celebration of Kwanzaa, and how the Wheel of the Year, yeah, inspired her to make one that's really Afrocentric. She talked about the Pan-African holiday for anyone of African descent, designed to help those of us who in the global diaspora connect with African values, language, culture, and spirituality. Sorry, I went back to her text. Because she gave some information about the holidays in that sense. And even if this was a creation of hers in that sense. I really love that depiction. Because when I was thinking about an African wheel, yeah, whether that's a fortune or the year, yeah, I mean, the Wheel of Fortune in that sense, that's why I call it just the wheel, yeah. It's about turning, right? The cycles. 1 minute we're on top, and the other moment we can be down. But we need that cycle. This is what helps us grow. So I did place the constellations, and I kind of liked how all these were significant, how do you call them? I'm sorry. Principles, sorry, my mind. These were all principles of the Kwanzaa holiday. So I think they teach us all something, and this is what I mean with the cycles, the ups and the downs. So even though it was not a Wheel of Fortune, I really liked it to represent that wheel, you know, and I stayed in my Afrocentric kind of place in that sense. Every principle or holiday is explained in the booklet, in the appendix, you know, the way she explained it, because again, this was her creation. And I really liked it. I did redesign the wheel itself to, well, make it pop more, you know. But yeah, I think that was an... I think it was the perfect, like, depiction for me, you know, to represent that wheel. Because I think this one was one of the, well, later cards, you know, that I actually did, because I didn't really know how I wanted to depict the wheel in an Afrocentric way, you know. But yeah, I think this works. So the next is Strength. I think I bitched about another in another walkthrough about that Strength card, right? Because this is how I like to see my lion. In freedom, in his own environment, you know, and she just happens to be there. Yeah, Strength, you know, I talk about it in the book as the rarest form of power, knowing when and how to use yours. This is what's gonna set us apart, right? So you see the dancing woman, it's almost with the flowers like an offering to the lion, right? But the flowers are depicted in the original Strength cards of the RWS in that sense. So yes, I really wanted to put them back in here, you know. This was just the symbiosis, I think, when we look at Africa in that sense. I mentioned a little bit in Ethiopia, for example, the wild lions were groomed and nurtured, and people would ride on their backs. African riding lions had been a common norm in the old days then in Africa. This again was a symbiotic relationship. These were people from the land, yeah, with the animals from their land. And then you can say, if you don't know, about, oh, but that's cruelty. Don't you do the same thing with horses? Horses came out of the wild. You trained them, you broke them. This is literally the wording, you know, that you hear, yeah. Breaking a horse, yeah, so that it would become obedient. And horses are from here, or if you look at Australia, maybe you have a lot of wild horses, you know. Y'all did the same thing. So just because we look at it now from a viewpoint in the sense of we're a generation that didn't really see that happening, we're just used to it, you know, that doesn't make it weird, yeah? These are very powerful, majestic animals. Just like horses could be. I mean, there is a beauty in horses, especially when you see them roam free, you know. But again, that was a very African custom. I mean, the horses in Africa actually came, yeah, in the time of the Arabians, yeah, when they, well, occupied the northern of Africa. But again, that's beside the point. Again, for me, like I said, I gave some background. Don't be thinking it's weird. Like I said, remember your own horses. But yeah, I love the symbiosis between the two, you know, where he has a natural strength, yeah, and courage and all that, right? We have that too. Yeah, we need to just step into that to actually make use of it. All right, next, enough rattling. I named it the Hanged One. I think it fits better in that sense, yeah. I depicted her in a comedic yoga pose, the back bend or the bridge pose, in that sense. If you look at Agent, let me see if I can show you. I don't know if it will show up properly, but if you look at some older wall paintings on the temples in Egypt, you will actually see these poses, you know. where a lot of people will say it comes from, well, the Asian culture, and there's nothing wrong with that, you know. But if you look further back, yeah, again, you're gonna find that in Kemet, which I really wanted to depict. In the same sense, also the bridge, you know, because we talk with the Hanged Man a lot of times about sacrifice, right? New perspective, waiting for the right time. Nothing should be rushed, all of that, right? And even suspension. So I really wanted to have that bridge being there, and well, the light popping out, right? I mean, yeah, for me, again, you know, this was a great depiction. Again, this is all me. Then we have death. Well, transformation, change, ending, beginning, focus, transition, all that, right? I love the way she well was depicted in that sense. I did place the white rose again on her, and of course the white horse. Which is kind of funny. I didn't mention that in the book, but I remember that even in China, I think a white horse is actually a representative of death. And once making this deck, I actually realized that, yeah, and it never popped in my mind when I saw the RWS, so that's kind of funny. In this way, anyway, for me, I talked about the white horse, symbolizing purification and cleansing, yeah. The white horse speaks to resurrection, as does the sun, yeah. We have the sun here back too. And when you think about the sun, this speaks to the Kemetic mythology, of the sun god Ra. I mean, in ancient Egypt, they believed, yeah, that Ra's role was to sail across the heavens during the days in the boat. They had a name for it. I cannot speak it out because I will massacre it. I did mention it in the book. And then by the end of the day, you know, the boat was called a different name. It meant something like becoming weak. And when it came, it meant something like becoming strong. And then they actually believed that at the end of the day, when the sun would go down, you know, that Ra died. And that he was swallowed by Nut, the goddess of the night sky, right? So he was sailed to the underworld, leaving the moon in his place to light up the world. And then the next day, Ra would be reborn in that sense. And I think when you look at that story, what the death card represents for a lot of us, right? That transformation, that change. So we talk about, sometimes I hear people say they're kind of like that, the little deaths, right? When we need to make a change, we need some part of us in the sense of behavior or emotion or whatever, we need that to die, right? That needs to get away. We need to put something new and fresh in the place of that. So even though there's definitely tradition in here, I also, again, went my own way in that sense. And then we have temperance. The cups are different, yeah, and the energy exchange is happening. Again, the temperance card, you know, it signifies balance, peace, patience, moderation, all of that and more. For me, the man angel, however you want to see that, yeah, is keeping an eye on the energy exchange that is happening between the two cups. We also see in the background the two oceans meet. You can see that in the oceans of the Atlantic Ocean in South Africa with, oh my god, I should mention that in the book here. See, this is what I mean. I need to post it. Where two oceans meet, but they don't mingle. And I think it's one of the most beautiful sights ever, because how is that possible, right? I mean, water and water, and they don't mix. Yeah. I know how it's possible, but when you look at it, you're still like, how is that possible? So again, you know, it's that balance, right? Look, no, this is mine, this is yours. We can definitely coexist, but we don't need to mingle. Again, a great balance, right? So yeah, that was my depiction for the temperance, which, in all honesty, I loved. I cannot lie, I love my deck. Okay, we have the devil. For me, the devil is about taking control, taking charge, right? getting my own power back. Yeah, we have some secrets and delusions and honesty, and I mention them in the booklet because again, we're now going to, well, a broader audience in that sense. So I do want you to be able to use this deck in that sense, right? So in the background, you also see the broken chains, you know, because again, I think especially for our people, yeah, the breaking of chains is very symbolic, yeah, to a lot of things about getting our power back, getting our freedom back, you know. So I didn't want to place people in chains, but I wanted to put the symbology there, you know, of breaking those chains. And Anubis, I mean, he is yeah, the god of the oh, sorry. I'm sorry, I got some sour in my throat. I say Anubis, but in the booklet I do call him Anpu, because that is his original Egyptian name. And I think he is one of the most iconic and oldest gods from Egypt, you know. I placed him here, yeah, because I think the devil is something, yeah, especially in Europe, that really got a bad reputation. And I think Anubis, or Anpu, had the same, while he was actually very gentle, yeah. He was really the protector of the dead, and he was not as well, he was fierce, but he was not as mean as people, well, nowadays might have thought or think, you know. So I really wanted to put him in here. And again, this is the mask. I mean, you see the beautiful black man behind it. So yeah, again, I wanted to portray the devil in a way that I saw it, right? In a sense of, it's about taking your own power back. It's not about how people look at you. It's about you knowing who you are, and again, taking that charge, right? Breaking those chains that holding you back. Anyway, again, I will go deeper into it in the guidebook. The Tower. Wait, I'm sorry. We see the tower and its destruction symbolizing what must happen in order to clear out the old ways and well, welcome new beginnings, or something new in that sense, right? In this card, I this landscape, so to speak, yeah, is in South Africa. It's called the Tankwa Karo National Park, if I say this correct. And it's one of the oldest regions in South Africa, and it was actually an actual prehistoric seabed. So once upon a time, there was a sea there. I think that was awesome, right? Again, it's for me at least, right? The tower, that sudden change, that clearing away, right? Awakening something about that foundation being strong, even if you get shaken. So again, I hope that I depicted that as something that you can see yourself too. The Star, yeah, as I mentioned in the beginning of the booklet, yeah, so let's be clear about that. For me, this deck was about a united Africa. Here in this picture, for example, I do portray an Orisha devotee. She is a devotee of Yemoya. However, even though I will tell you a little bit about it, it's not about that, right? It's about the unity of Africa, whether that's traditional Africa, old Africa, tribal Africa, or modern day people, yeah, from the from the slave trade and generations further, right? That's not only in America, that's here in the Caribbean, it's everywhere. And we are now more, well, modern day in that sense. So even though, yeah, I will tell you a little bit about it, yeah, I don't want you to focus on it. At least that's not the point of the deck, right? It's really about, this is all your heritage. Whether you come from Nigeria, that doesn't mean yet that you don't have heritage in other African countries. Yeah. I mean, even in those times, yeah, there were no borders. It was not Nigeria and Angola and Kenya and all that, you know. The regions were even bigger. This is all your heritage. This is all you in that sense. Okay, let's go. Let's continue. The star, yeah, hope, guidance, vision, inspiration, and more. It helps us to remind us that our exalted origins and our attractions to a higher union, you know, it's about that strong connection, referring to our reason for being for me, yeah. So like I said, this is a Orisha devotee. She is doing a dance, you know, for Yemoya, as she is as she does by the rivers, by the water beds, right? In that sense, for Yemoya, the Orisha of water, riverbeds, ocean, all that. So I know the offering is a lot of the time also white rose petals, so I gave her those, and of course ocean shells and stuff like that. I really liked the way that portrayed, because the star, I do place a lot of hope in that card, in that sense, in the meaning, right? Again, for me, and guidance. So a devotee of Yemoya, the moment you offer and dance and pray, yeah, that is a lot of hope, right? And that is a lot of guidance you're asking for. So yeah, I really liked the portrayal of this one in that sense. I need to hurry up a little bit. The moon, again, kept it pretty traditional. Even though I chose 2 wild animals, I know the duality is normally the domesticated one and the wild one. I will explain a little bit further in the booklet. But for example, the wild dog, yeah, he comes from the line, the family line, and their ancient name is Lacaean Pictus, if I say that correct, and that actually translated to painted wolf, which I really liked. And again, we got an African lobster thing going on there. I put the name there because I'm gonna massacre that on YouTube. Yeah, it took the place of the original crawfish in that sense, right? Here too, I placed the towers because it's about the path going through, even though here it will lead to the ocean directly, you know. I placed something that was very personal to me there. My name is Phyllis, hello. And I love to write poetry. And years ago, I found out the story about this woman, the story of Phyllis Wheatley. And again, it's very close to me. I mean, we share a name and a love of poetry. I mean, she was actually named Phyllis because she came from a slave ship that was called the Phyllis. So she got her name from there. What her original African name is, well, nobody knows. So yeah, again, you know, she came from Gambia. She was born there around 1753. Gambia, Africa. So she was captured by slave traders and brought to America in 1761. And upon arrival, she was sold to the Wheatley family in Boston, Massachusetts. Oh my God. Her first name, Phyllis, was derived from the ship that brought her to America, the Phyllis. Despite spending much of her life enslaved, Phyllis Wheatley was the first African American and second woman to publish a book of poems. So again, I wanted her in my moon card because for me personally, I know the moon changes dreams, you know. I put their soul path because this is, for me, when the moon card pops up, yeah, it's for me a reminder like, oh, hello, we need to talk about your soul path. And because that is my soul path card, I wanted this beautiful lady in my moon. I normally don't like faces in my moon. I love her face in my moon. Okay, that was a little bit of background on her. And one of my favorite cards, the Sun. I mean, look at that boy. He's so happy. Yes. So, yeah, enlightenment, radiance, joy, rewards, vitality, all that, right? In the Sun. So, again, I depicted a child playing joyfully on the foreground, a symbol of our innocence. It represents the happiness that occurs when you're in alignment with your true self. I did continue here in my booklet about, well, the young black boy symbolizes the hard reality of society today, where young black children, especially in the West, need to let go of their innocence way too soon. This is because of racism and what we as parents need to teach them before letting them go free into this society. And you might know, you might not know, the way a black mother or father will raise their black boy is very different from how a white family would raise their white boy. That white boy can go on his bike and tour the neighborhood and be totally innocent and free. And yeah, this is not the case with a black boy. We need to teach our sons, and I say we, even though I'm not having a son, I have a daughter, and I was not sad about that. Let me put it like that. Because I was very scared if I would do the right thing by my black son, you know, if I would have a son, you know. But I say we because it takes a village, right, to raise our children. But yeah, the way a black boy will be raised and taught about how to deal with authority, whether that's police or something else, yeah, is done at a very early age. And that is something that needs to be drilled in, yeah, for the simple reason that boy needs to stay alive to see adulthood, yeah. And even then, yeah, we got our black mothers, yeah, calling nonstop. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, my father was once that black boy, right? So, yeah, I wanted a happy black child here, that innocence, because they are. We should not be living in a society where this should be a thing. Unfortunately, it is. Again, for me, this was the Sun moment. Yeah, I hope you like it too. Anyway, the next one is, yeah, judgment, you know, journey, transition, consequences, rebirth, all of that and more. So I'm depicting here, well, an angel. In all honesty, it's an angel. I cannot say it's not an angel. We see the trumpet, you know, I mean, again, a little bit of traditional symbology in here, calling on all souls, you know, the time has come to return home. The spirits are rising and ascending to heaven, whether that is, I'm not even talking about a Christian heaven. I'm not a Christian. But, you know, to the better place. His golden robe symbolizes enlightenment and the finding of your spiritual purpose. I did make a mention in the booklet, according to Christian scripture, it is never really said which archangel will blow the sacred trumpet horn to wake the dead on the last judgment. But people debate whether it is Gabriel or Michael. I mean, the horn is often called Gabriel's horn. It's actually never mentioned in scripture. But okay, moving on. We have the world, yeah? And I depicted her pregnant too. And again, you know, it's about, for me, the world, we're at a closure, right? It's the end of our journey. And at the same time, somebody or even a part of our soul that it will be reborn again, right? I mean, we've been taught here a certain lesson. So now we start all over again because now we need to understand that lesson. So, yeah, I wanted her pregnant to symbolize the end in the world, but again, the new beginning as well. And because I'm a Scorpio, I don't always like that we're depicted by the eagle, so I just dropped my Scorpio in there. And yeah, Aquarius is often the representation of man, so I put there an African tribal mask, the Taurus and the lion. Pretty self-explanatory in that sense, right? So yes, the world. And then I have one extra card. Again, you can take it out if you don't want it. I give some information about why African people really honor their ancestors, you know. I give some starting keywords, but I give you some lines to put in your own, yeah. Because again, ancestors, heritage, genealogy, family, guides, divine assistance, all of that, you know. And again, if you feel differently, you can. I mentioned, you know, you can use the ancestor card in any way you choose. I have put some starting keywords, but feel free to fill this in a way that suits you best. And then again, under the line here, I give some information about the honoring of ancestors in Africa, you know. If you want to use it, that's great. And if not, you can put it as an altar card. Okay, let's continue because we're going to be a little bit different here. Okay, let me pause for a quick... No, do I need to? No, okay. Let's continue. Because here we go into the suits, yeah. In the booklet, yeah, I'm going to go a little bit different, yeah. We're going to go numerology, yeah. I give a quick point, yeah, into what the number 1 stands for, you know, and I give you some space to actually put your own, well, thoughts and ideas about the number 1 in there, you know. Then I will depict the 4 wands, so the 4 aces, you know, and that actually continues until 10. So every 8, every 9, every 10, and all that, you know. Because again, this is how I designed them. But I have 2 extra cards in the suit of Axis. So let's flip and then we will see where we get, right? So that's the ace. Again, definitely traditional. The 2. Okay, here we go different because this is what I designed for myself, yeah. Again, for me, the number 3 is about growth, yeah. In the case of Axis, which is the suit of air, yeah, or the element of air, sorry, it's about growth of the mind, which is of course very different from the RWS. So for our RWS readers, I gave you an extra card. This is maybe, and in the booklet, because, well, I think you might already guess which the other card is then. It will be the 10, you know. So I give you an extra page with some keywords, you know, for those 2 cards. If you choose to not use it that in that numerology elemental way, because we will go into the elements in the book in a second. And you really want to go about it in more of the traditional RWS way, maybe, you know. So you do have an extra 3 and you can choose, you know, which one you want to use. Because, yeah, in that sense, I think they're very different, right? So I felt like, yeah, if I really want to do this for the public, I'm going to need to give an option for this card and number 10, yeah. Which I did. So yeah, those are the 2 3s. Then we go to 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. I think this is what I meant, but it can go both ways, where this could be the nightmare card in RWS. I mean, it's a nightmare. I think that is self-explanatory to begin with. When we talk about dynamic energy in numerology for the 9, again, this can go both ways, right? I mean, even the dynamic energy in itself, yeah. So I think with most of the others, yeah, you can definitely go about it your own way in that sense. Okay, then we have the 10, because again, this was for me, the 10 of Axes is about that accumulation, that completion, you know, of the mind, which brings us a certain amount of peace, you know, or it should. So this is what I wanted to depict. But again, it's a little bit different, yeah, when you go to the RWS. That's less peaceful, right? I didn't want to do the traditional stabbing of the 10 sword axes in this case, you know, in somebody, because again, it's about the mental space, right? So it's that's well, that overwhelming feeling. Well, they call it defeat, right, in the RWS. So it's about that almost feeling defeated with all the thoughts and things you have going on in your mind. So even though I still did it differently, I hope you can get there, you know, I hope you can get there. So yeah, these are the 2 10s, so you can pick and choose which suits your reading style best. Yeah. Okay, now we're going into, well, you know what? Let's continue, and then I will do the family cards in my deck, the court cards, later on at the end. Yeah. Okay. So Axis is Swords, the suit of air. Yeah, the mind. Cowrie shell will be the suit of Pentacles, Earth, in that sense. I think, again, pretty traditional in that sense. That spark off, right? The aces. Here we have the 2. Yes, you're seeing double. We got 2 going on. The balance of the 2. Here we have 3. 4. And yeah, this is a little bit, I think you saw it in the Axis too. Let me go a little bit back so just you can see. I mean, very modern, a modern African lady, right? Or at least African descendants. Again, pretty modern, yeah. Here we go more traditional, yes. Again, modern. Modern. Here, a little bit of both, right? There's some tradition in there, yet it might feel modern. But again, like I said, when we're here, I mean, the Rastafarians, yeah, they are definitely modern, yet keep very traditional. So I think a beautiful balance. And then we go way more traditional in the 4 of Cowrie shell. So this is what I wanted, right? That united Africa, whatever time period or tradition or yeah, all that, right? I mean, it all belongs to our heritage in that sense. The 5 of Cowrie shell, it's the only one with the gold, because this is the South African mines where they mine for, well, Africa's treasures. In the meantime, yeah, most of that profit doesn't go to Africa itself, and it's making our children suffer. So yeah, for me, the 5 disruption, right, in the earth suit. But again, I think you can go back and read it in a way you please. So yeah, the 6, yeah, it's talked about in the RWS, like sharing of resources, and yeah, in the African, that's already a thing, right? And 6 is for me our harmony, in this case, the Pentacle, Cowrie shell, Ursut, yeah. This is a normal thing, yeah. We cook for the whole neighborhood and then we all eat together. So I thought it would have made a beautiful depiction for the 6 of Cowrie shell, which again I think it does. But that's just me. I hope you like it too. The 7, yeah, the new growth, yeah, the man is looking at his farmland. New growth is happening, yeah. Prosperity is on its way. And also with the 7, sometimes you really don't know what's happening, you know. So yeah, time will tell if the this will come to fruition, right? I mean, we see a lot of well, maybe too heavy rains or whatever that maybe can spoil the growth. So he's keeping a watchful eye, you know, for this new growth to occur. The Eight of Cowrie shell, I think in the RWS we talk really about, well, that hard work, right? For me, the Eight is also about mastery. I mean, she's mastering this farm, right? She knows what to do, yeah. She's, yeah, hard at work and at the same time mastering her craft, yeah. So again, I think you can go both ways with this. The Nine of Cowrie shells, again, for me, definitely the dynamic energy, you know. It can either way. She looks very relaxed here, you know. I mean, she's walking her path in that sense. I did place the cute bird there. Very traditional RWS, but I thought it was something nice to add to that, you know. In the sense of, again, that harmony between man and nature in Africa. So yes. And with the 10, again, very traditional, the happy family kind of thing, that completion, right? We've accomplished this now. So yeah, again, pretty traditional, but I'm liking the depiction. Very modern, yet very traditional, right? Again, I like that balance. I really like that balance. Okay, then let's take these, and I promise we will come back to them. These are the drums, so the cups, as I mentioned, you know, that drumming that really can bring out those emotions, the ones you know and the ones you're hiding. So for me, the drums was really perfect for the cups. Again, very traditional in the sense of the roses and the dove. Oh, I think I didn't mention, I'm sorry. Okay, let's go back a little bit. Yeah, the Ace X is different from the X 2 to 10, because again, this is what it could be, right? The Ace. So I did the same for, yeah, let me see, the staff. Oh no, the cowrie shell, sorry. I mean, here it was a little bit harder because, yeah, I chose definitely a different one, but I have some different cowrie shell in this suit in that sense. And here for the drums, yeah, you see the big one. And then we go back to, well, those drums. The two, I mean, love is definitely one thing that we see in the Two of Cups, in my case drums. But for me, it's all about that duality, polarity, and that could be definitely love, but this is why I depicted one very serious and one definitely having fun, right? Because I think you could place that as love, yeah, and at the same time go about it very numerology, or in a numerology kind of way. Again, very traditional, the Three of Drums, yeah. They're just having a chat, yeah, they did what they needed to do, their chores, and now they're just having fun. So the landscape, of course, African, as is all. But yeah, I really enjoyed doing this one. It was hard to find the perfect background, and then at a certain point I got this, and again I was all happy. Four of Drums, for me, again, the 4 is about stability, right? I mean, he is just, that's it, yeah? He's just stable in his emotions in this sense, right? Again, even when times may be harder, there's that stability, yeah? Or just take it how it is, and there's that stability. So it was an easy depiction in that sense, but I really enjoyed that just that stableness in who he is, in his face and all that, you know. The 5, yeah, we do have some disruption in that case, right, numerology wise. And then I depicted mostly in the colors, yeah, of the background, right? I mean, he's looking over and he can see that, well, shit is coming. But I think it's how we handle it that will help us, right? depending on how we handled it, we either go back or we go forward, right? Leaving the stableness to continue on the journey is sometimes hard because, yeah, challenges will come, but we do get some harmony back in the 6. Or in the RWS sense, you know, that nostalgia 4, right? So, again, I depicted some happy children. Aren't they cute? Now, there we go by the 7. Again, I kept it traditional here because, yes, the 7 is new growth. And at the same time, like I said before, we don't always sometimes know what's going on. And I think with the 7 of Cups, yeah, you see that possibilities happening, right? So, again, even though I didn't make any differences because they're still all the same, so what makes it different then, right? This is the I don't know part. But new growth will come. It's something we cannot escape from. We need to continue. So I let him sit here and ponder his options in that sense, right? Like, okay, we still need to move forward, but, right? New growth is on its way. Well, is here. 8 of Drums, again, pretty traditional, yeah. I mean, the walking away, it's one of the things I do like in the 8 of Drums or Cups originally, because for me, the walking away part is a part of that mastery. For me, 8 mastery, right? When I'm thinking about I need to master my emotions and really take charge of that, right? I really get that under control. That means that sometimes you need to walk away from situations because the situations are stirring up all these, well, issues, right? So maybe walk away, take a moment and get in control again, get that mastering off, you know? So again, I kept it really traditional, but with my own flair in that sense. The 9 of Drums, I placed him here because it was emotions, that yeah, dynamic energy. I placed him very relaxed because I think this is what I wanted to strive for. It's not about that that's always the case, but this is what I wanted to strive for, you know? I mean, the road has been, right? I mean, we have 9, now we're here. Yeah, if we start from there. I mean, there might be some clouds in the horizon, and at the same time, yeah, the sun is shining. Again, a little bit of that dynamic energy that can go either way, but I wanted him to be calm. The 10, again, pretty traditional, you know, we got the happy family. This one definitely very modern, right? Very everyday. The rainbow is happening there. I mean, in the here and the now, right? We come to this completion. Yeah, we come at a place where, well, we found our happiness. We learn to master. We learn to navigate through all different emotions. So, yeah, we're in a good place right now. Again, let me take these and we will come back to them. We got one more. And it's the staffs. So yeah, the ace will be different than the rest of the staffs. I chose here a beautiful African one. And this one will also come back in the family cards or the court cards. So yeah, the ace of staffs, the ace, the beginning, the spark, the root of. Then we have the 2. Instead of, well, holding the world, I place the world center stage on top, you know, like this is what we do it for, right? I mean, our world in that sense, how we view it. Again, that duality, polarity, I place the roses here and the lilies there, yeah. And him looking forward to, right, the path he needs to take. And then with the 3, yeah, again, semi-traditional in that sense. He's not watching also that way. It's about, for me, okay, if it's about RWS undertaking the journey, you know, like getting ready for or getting ready to, I wanted him to face it this way, ready to go in that sense, you know. I think I did that also. I'm sorry, let me go back. Yeah, I also did that here. Instead of her being with child in the boat, I already placed her like she took the journey, right? This is all behind her. This is in the background of the picture, you know. She already took that journey. She's now ready to begin, you know. And again, at the same time, 6 harmony. So I read it maybe a little bit different, but both is possible, right? So yeah, him too. I didn't let him also face there like I already did with the 2. I wanted him to, well, again, face the journey that's gonna happen, because 3 growth, right? So yeah, we're going. The 4, oh, one of my favorite cards. It drove me nuts to make, but I love the outcome. So yeah, 4s, right? For me, it's about stability. I know this is a very traditional picture. At the same time, yeah, one man and woman come together. That is that stability in a family. What I will go back to in the family court cards, right? So yeah, I really like this depiction. They're modern yet dressed very traditionally, at least especially him, right? Even her, yeah. So again, a little mixture of 2. The 5 of staffs, yeah, even though the 5 is definitely disruption. In the background, Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania, you know, you see, well, it's getting disruptive. And at the same time, he's a little bit stoic and serious, you know, because he knows in that sense how I wanted it to be depicted. Yeah, that no matter what comes, you know, we need to keep moving forward. We're not happy about it, and at the same time, we need to continue, right? So I hope you can see and enjoy that. The 6 of staffs, or wands, yeah. 6 again, harmony, finding that harmony. For me, it was really about finding harmony back in the landscape, right? There's a lot going on, and we need to get back to self, find that harmony inside our own spirit, you know. Again, I hope you can see that too. Again, traditional. I mean, I got some elements again coming back, right? Okay, the 7 of staffs. Again, for me, it's about new growth. This time I depicted it with a child, you know, a next generation again. And at the same time, 7s, like I already said, you know, don't really know what's going on, what's coming. And yet again, we need to continue. I mean, this is why I depicted a more traditional kind of way, in a sense of, well, they're not into technology and social media and all that, you know what I mean? Like, they live of what they know, what's right in front of them, in that sense, right? They go back to the older ways, and well, we might not know then everything what's going on, and at the same time they just keep continuing, right? So yeah, for me, the 7 with the new growth, I depicted again with the child, you know, because things keep on going, whether we know what's going on, whether we understand what's going on, you know, things keep changing and growing. Okay, the 8 of staffs, instead of, well, the staffs like this, because again, for me, 8 is about mastery, you know, that's, I placed maybe the, what's the word, that swiftness in the RWS, in the sense of the birthright. There's a lot going on, and still we need to master ourselves, you know, our spirits, in the sense of, well, all the craziness around us, and we still need to focus. So I hope both kind of readers, like me, my way, and you, your way, can, well, get back to that, you know. Okay, the 9, again, dynamic energy. I love the depiction with the circle on her forehead, you know, because again, that spirit for me is staffs, that fire, right? It's almost like she's putting that in one space, and then that will burst out, right? So as the, again, dynamic energy card, or yeah, again, for me, right, that dynamic energy in spirit, you know, I really love this depiction. I first had a different one, it was not sitting right with me, then I found this, and again, I was a happy camper. So yeah, that's the 9. And the 10, yeah, again, I kept it really simple in the sense of the 10 that being completion, right? I mean, I think in everyday life, we don't notice when we really complete. I went really basic here with completing a task in that sense, right? But I think we don't give ourselves enough credit, yeah, when we reach a state of completion. That are the smaller steps in life. I mean, especially when you talk minor arcana, right? These are not the big things in our life. These are the smaller parts in our life. And I think we often overlook them. You know, it's not like we almost see them as not that meaningful. But all these small steps, yeah, they help us towards the bigger steps. So I really place that down to earth, you know, like a completion of a small task, right? In the sense of spirit. I mean, she's looking very serious because she got shit to do. I mean, she got to take care of a child. She got her laundry to do, right? I mean, every small step is a victory. So, yes, that was the 10. Okay, let me put these aside. And then we're going to go to the court cards. And I think, well, I'm already way late, right? Okay, so what we're going to do here. Okay, these ones are very reddish orange because I did them in a very elemental kind of way. Yeah. Again, I think the beauty of the court cards, you can read them however you want. However, again, you know, they were designed in a way. They were for me, remember? See, this is fire, you know, the fire suit, yeah, the staffs. And then you got the daughter is earth of fire. The son is fire of fire. The mother is water of fire. And the king is air of fire. And I tried to put that all back, right? With earth of fire, I try really to put that in an earthy way, which was a little bit difficult. The son of fire is fire of fire. So again, I try to place that as fiery as possible. The mother, water of fire, yeah, and the father, air of fire. I think these two were the most difficult. I like how they came out, however. So that's the elemental way, right? And then I will go in the book. See, I got the schematics in that sense. I go in a little bit of why I did it family. There are some court card basics. The African family structure and significance, you know. And again, then we're going to go into basic elementary or elements, you know. Earth, for me, that's the cowrie shells, but it's also the daughters, right? The pages. The fire is the suit of staffs, but also the sons. The water is the drums, but again, also the mothers. And air is the suit of axes, and again, also the fathers, or well, the kings in this sense, right? And then I go in depth, I go a little bit more specific per element. Yeah, I do that with all, you know. So again, yeah, if you look at the schematics in that sense, and then because let me read it to you how I worded it, because if I need to pull that out. So I go into the African dynamic of family, yeah. Then I mentioned looking at this family concept, you can see that there certainly is a difference with Western society. In my deck, I wanted to emphasize the family in a court card by using African tribal masks. The father, mother, son, and daughter masks stay the same throughout the suits because I again wanted to showcase that the structure isn't changing, only the environment. So this is the daughter mask. You see her coming back here in the daughter. Yeah, the daughter of drums. So the family structure doesn't change, you know. It's the environment, in this case, the elements, yeah, that changed. She is still earth, yeah, but in the suit of drums, the environment becomes different because now we are in the cups, in water, yes. Again, he doesn't change. He is the sun, he is fire, but it's now fire in water. and you see the water coming back. Again, she doesn't change. She is water, yeah, in the suit of water. And the same goes for the father. He is air in the suit of water. So how does how do those two, you know, intertwine and make that, you know, because I don't read them as persons, you know. Let me mention that. I don't read the page as a person. I can go about the qualities, which I did. Let me show you. For example, yeah, let's go to the page, the daughter, yeah. It's like a young child who still views the world in an innocent, naive way. They will also run errands and tend messages. Pages are strongly linked to messages in the tarot. Pages are still learning. So when I look at a page, I'm thinking primarily to the primary role, which is to learn something new, and these lessons are needed for growth, right? But when I then go deeper, like, okay, if this page is about learning something new, yeah, what do I need to learn, right? Well, we're going to look at the element of earth. She is earth. And we're going to look at the element of water. And then, of course, for me, it will depend on what's next to it, right? Okay. So, yeah, and here the same. I mean, now she's earth in the suit of earth. So, earth, earth. He is fire in the suit of earth. She is water in the suit of earth. And he is air in the suit of earth. And then the last one, exactly the same, right? I mean, she's still the daughter. There's no change. There's only change in the environments. She is earth in the suit of air. He is fire in the suit of air. She is water in the suit of air. And he is air in the suit of air. And yeah, you see here the same attributes as we saw then in the ace, you know. Because again, the ace was that spark of, right, that root of the entire suit, that potential of the entire suit. And I wanted them to come back. And if you look closely, let me see, yeah, in the ancestor card, we have the daughter. I hope you can see that correctly. We have the son, we have the mother, and we have the father. So they do come back, yeah, with extras. Because again, you know, as the family, yeah, they are a foundation. So I wanted to bring them back in the ancestor card as well. So yes, the cards definitely different. And if you like to dive into that again, I will go deeper into it in the guidebook, you know. At the same time, I think you can read them however you want. Because even if you look at them as certain people, I think over time, you know, maybe it's not a deck for beginners in that sense. But yeah, you know what you see as the Son of or the Knight of Swords, or the Page of Swords in that sense. But yeah, again, I designed them in this way. This is how I read them. Let me put it like that. Okay, well, I think that was all right. These are the backings. Did I show you the backings? I love the backings. Yeah, these are the backings. I think you can see them again, also coming back in the booklet, right? And like I said, I printed this because I really wanted to see, in the sense that I'm not in the spine with text or pictures, you know what I mean? I knew that here and there I was going to need to, well, change or update or refine the text. So that will definitely be done, because if you can see, let me take something with a lot of text then. Yeah, here the introduction. I mean, it's very small. I didn't expect that, because again, when you watch on the screen, it's always bigger. So this will definitely be changed. It will not be this tiny. You know, let's see, I can read it, and I'm old, but I will blow it up a little bit so that it's easier to read, you know. But yeah, I think this was the first walkthrough. By all means, I would love to hear what you think. So please do in the comments. If you have any questions, also feel free to ask. Like I said, I now have the booklet. I will be working with beautiful cotton bags to place both in there. because I do everything locally. Don't get me wrong, I know China gonna be cheaper and all that, but where I go with printing, yeah, these are people that did all of this for me alone already, you know. They already did the one deck, which is like not common, right? You need to have multiple decks before they will print for you. And I'm a very loyal person. So I'm gonna stay loyal to the people who already did this for me in the last couple of years, you know, because I made multiple decks for myself. Most are in my thing there. I think you all saw my Bob Marley Oracle, right? Or my Cannabis Oracle, or yeah, whatever, right? So they have always stood by me in that sense, always helped me, always supported me in that way. So I want to stay true to them. I don't want to go outside of where I'm at now. So in that sense, I want to have it locally produced. I did the same with the book. I might actually do a ring bound, but again, I'm not sure. We will see. Anyway, yes, here and there we definitely need to change some things. The cards, in my opinion, are beautiful and good. They're perfect. I don't want to shuffle this because this one actually goes to somebody who offered to give me some feedback, you know. I think at this point we're at a stage, yeah, I just need some honest feedback, right? If I made a mistake in really African, wait, what am I doing? African culture kind of way, you know, I need to know. I think I'm right, but hey, we're not always right. So I don't want to shuffle this one, but this one is mine. It's yeah, see, it's used. I think they shuffle great. It's 300 matte. It also has a matte coating. Ooh, okay, this was not a good example. I'm not going to cut that out because, well, that shit happens. I could edit it out, but let's not. Yeah, let's stay honest here. I mean, yeah. Okay, then you cannot see it, eh? Okay, wait. I'm being horrible here. Huh? Okay, let's try if I can do it like this. So yeah, for me, again, you know, they shuffle great. They're awesome. And again, this was my copy that I'm having already for a long time. Because, again, to refine, right? To see what's wrong. But yeah, so it's not beautiful anymore. There's oil on it, yeah, with blessings and, well, a lot of that. But let me put 3 cards down to give you an idea how that would look. See, we got a beautiful mixture of the court cards, the majors, and the minors. So, yes. Again, okay, let me use mine. That's the Alkebulan Tarot, yeah. Like I said, we're refining here and there. I'm working on making that budget, you know, to see what the, how you call that? Like the goal will be on Kickstarter. But again, I'll keep you posted. I will put my, my Instagram in the description if you want to follow along. We're getting closer. We're almost there. Yeah, I'm working hard and I hope you like, at least so far, what you see. Like I said, there might still be some minor changes here and there, but I had now a beautiful deck. Everything was in the borders, done nicely, nothing was chopped off and stuff. So I wanted to already give you a sneak peek, a preview, right? And again, any questions or comments, yeah, please let me know. I love to hear what you all think. And well, that was it for today, right? I hope to see you all soon again. New videos will come. But yeah, this was the first sneak preview, yeah, of the Alkebulan Tarot. I hope to see you all soon. Have a lovely day, yeah, and stay blessed. Bye-bye.